Good day, DZMJ. Right now with us is one of the Balik scientists 2022, no other than Engineer Syrus Gomari. Yes, a good day, Sir
Good day.
Engineer Gomari. I'm just curious regarding your presentation. At first, my first question is, how do you get here in this place from your home? Are you commute or do you have a car?
I personally don't have a car, and I don't really have any plans to purchase a car. I utilize whatever options there are right now. Today, I got up quite early. I think I took a grab. Yeah, I think I took a grab today because I need to wear this formal suit. But otherwise, I usually just take a motorcycle. Taxi, Angkas, or I don't want to promote anyone here, Angkas or Joyride. I usually take it because it's the fastest way. I mean, to be honest, it's not the safest. I mean, everyone knows it. Majority of our accidents are on the road are motorcycles. But yeah, for me, it's more the time component, and if I'm using Angkas, I also don't take so much space on the road. That's why I prefer it over taking Grab. Well, I mean, Grab, obviously it's a nice service, but as we've already seen on our roads, the majority of the space we've allocated is for cars. And that's exactly why we have traffic. If you look at it, it's all cars.
Yeah. Then that's my second question is, as Balik scientist, are you a short-term Balik scientist here, or you have a long-term plan to stay for good here in the country?
So I'm a medium-term Balik scientist right now, which is for 1 year. The engagement I have here, and since I'm building my startup, which is called Mobility Vision Plus, if things go well, I hope to stay much longer. But for now, it's 1 year. We'll see how this progresses. We'll see if we get more engagements with different cities all over the Philippines. This is not just Metro Manila. We're also trying to find contacts in Davao, for example. I also have a team member who's from Cebu, actually.
So almost your team is not just concentrated on Luzon alone, but also in Visayas part and in Mindanao area.
Exactly. So we want to, when we talk about solving traffic in the Philippines, it's not just the solving traffic aspect, right? We want to make our streets much safer for everyone, not just for people who walk. But we also wanted to make it safer for people who drive their cars, right? If especially inside the city, once it's in the highway going to a different province, that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But my focus is in the city,
metropolis.
yeah, in the cities, and essentially any city in the Philippines. And once we get it right in the Philippines, once this starts working in the Philippines, we want to expand globally as well, especially in developing countries.
Yeah. Regarding your urban mobility planning modality, how stages are you now on your application?
So right now we're mostly in the research and development phase. That's why I'm a Balik scientist, and DSC is funding me to deploy the technology with the cities that I'm working with. So right now it's really early R&D phase, but the proof of concept, like, I've already done this last year. At least the major component, I already did it end of last year, towards the end of my PhD. And I tested it first to see whether it works or not, because otherwise how would I know, right? And the technologies I'm applying here to this specific solution we're building, some of it I've already done it in my PhD. Some of it are new tools that I discovered that could be extremely useful. And all of this, putting it inside the app, and hopefully by March we'll have a public-facing app for it.
Regarding your experiences that you're a scientist in Munich, Germany, how it helped for this application of your technology in urban mobility?
So when I was in Germany, I was a PhD researcher with the BMW group, together with the Technical University of Munich, where I was part of the Transportation Systems Engineering Chair. And there, during my stint there for it was 3.5 years, one thing people don't talk about a PhD is how difficult it is, because once the topic you deal with, if there are some other lucky PhD students who get to work under an umbrella topic where they have, like, I don't know, 5 other PhD students working on similar ideas. But in my case, I was the only one who was working on this topic, and what I think that beyond the technical skills that I gained, I think the pressure that I had, that I was the only one working on that topic, and I was also the only one who had to come up solutions.
What is your inspiration for this? Because we know that several decades, still when we say traffic, is a common problem
Exactly.
in the country.
Yeah. You're talking about what was my motivation to tackle this problem. Right?
Yeah. To come up with a solution as Balik scientists to put up this application.
It's a good question, actually, because I have an answer for it. The first time infrastructure development came to my mind was around 2012, when I was still a college student back then. And I looked around and I said, what can I do to help our society the most as an engineer? And I saw that transportation is probably something everybody finds problematic, and as you said it first. So back then, I think I already planted a seed. And the seed, is now a full-blown tree. And it's probably a forest in the next few months after I develop this app. But the motivation really comes from the hardships that we have to go through to go from one place to the other. The fact that people still don't feel safe walking at night or even during the day, because they don't know if the next car or the next driver doesn't know how to drive. It's a safety risk, right? Just the fact that this is still a problem in today's age, that is one factor that has motivated me so much. And I will not stop until I find a solution. Whether this, obviously I'm channeling everything through Mobility Vision Plus. We will see what works to help everyone, essentially. Not just, the things that, sometimes there are discussions that separate the benefits, that they say, okay, all of the public transport passengers or commuters will benefit from this. But nobody really talks about, once we improve that, who else will gain from that. And the reality is, once we start improving public transport, you see that walking becomes nicer as well, because the environment will exactly more conducive to walking.
Yeah.
Because then we also have to, at the same time, if you want to have a nice public transport system, you need to make sure people can actually get there, right, safely. So these are just a few of the factors which has really motivated me. And one final aspect I want to mention is the impact. I think as a transport planner, and I think any transport planner agrees with me here, that we always want to make the most impact in whatever we do. And scientists are like that as well. We want to make the most impact in whatever we do. Otherwise, it's hard to find purpose in what you're doing. And obviously, I can apply these technologies to really advanced problems in Germany. And that's what I did, actually. I learned all of these while working on autonomous cars, for example. But for me, the fulfillment I get is much more if I can create a solution that has a huge impact, like gaining like 5 minutes more time for everyone in the country is highly beneficial, right? Even that 5 minutes per day, if it stacks up, it's hours during a year. And if we push for walkable cities, we push for bicycle-friendly cities, we push for more public transport, easier public transport, the net benefit is much higher than focusing on building car-centric infrastructure, for instance. And that's what we're changing. We want to, in a much faster manner, we want to convince people that car-centric planning is a thing of the past. We should leave it in the past, especially when we're talking about cities. Cities are, I don't remember who said this, but there are famous, so many famous urban planners globally who said cities are organic things, right? It's an organism. It's alive. But if we're all stuck in traffic and everyone's just using their car, they're just covered in their bubble. They don't really get to feel the city. Like before I went to Germany, I really didn't understand this concept, right? But in Germany, they're already so advanced with this. I mean, of course, they also have their problems, but they're so advanced in it that
you see the good practices in the Germany.
Exactly, yeah. And one thing people, I think, haven't got to realize it in the Philippines is once you're able to just cycle around the city, you start to feel more included in the city. Because then you start creating this map in your head that, oh, I can actually get to this place like that. And then since you're going slowly, you can feel your environment.
The sense of the synergy, the symbiotic
Exactly.
relationship with the environment.
Exactly, yes. So that's what we have to untangle the problem we've caused, right? And the thing is, it's not just in Metro Manila or anywhere in the Philippines, but it's a problem majority of developing countries are facing. There are many cities in developing countries who face exactly the same problem because the planning paradigm that we had in the past was focused on building highways through our cities. Because we were too excited. I think, I don't want to blame them, but I think, whenever there's this new technology, and back then it was cars, right? People got so excited, and they're like, I want to drive everywhere. But now all of us are stuck in traffic, and no one's really happy. And we instead of using the space we allocate for parking, for instance, we could allocate that to have more vendors on the streets, right? We actually shouldn't get rid of our vendors. The vendors, those little entrepreneurs on the streets, they bring so much life to a street. There are days in Germany where I was like, I wish there was a vendor down there I could just buy a snack or something. There's not. You have to go to a supermarket. And they're trying to reverse that. They're trying to introduce food festival, street festival.
Street food festival like that.
Exactly, but it's not the same. It's so artificial. But here it's very authentic, right? You walk on the street, can get squid balls or something. Exactly. So, this brings life. I'm focused on transport planning, but transport planning is part of urban mobility, urban planning. And I'm also doing urban planning, but it's not my main focus. And that's the aspect of it, right? Transportation is necessary to have a livable city, a city where people enjoy being a part of the communities they belong to.
Then my next question, being under the council of PCIEERD, or the Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology, what is your experience to fund on your research project?
So they've been really helpful with also connecting me with other people. The thing is, I only just recently came back. I was in Germany for about 8 years. So
you graduated here, right, in the country?
I did my bachelor's here, and then I did my master's in Germany, and I also worked as a consultant for the European Commission. No, not for the European Commission, but in a company called Ruprecht Consult. But we were doing mainly projects with the European Commission, and then I did my PhD. And then, going back to your question about PCIEERD. Right now, I cannot say so much because I've only been in it for 2 months. So I'm still learning right now. And at the beginning of the program, it's mostly really getting rid of the formalities and everything, and because we're doing a lot of planning right now. It's finished almost, and now we're more focused on the execution and implementation. And yeah, if people don't know it, the potential Balik scientists, it's actually a real program. If people think it's not real, it's actually
under law.
yeah, it's actually an act. There is funding for it. If people are if they find or if they have an interesting technological solution or medical solutions, I mean there are other fields as well. They should just try to get in touch. They don't know what they could possibly implement.
Being the inspiration of Balik scientists, your message from other scientists that you will also be to encourage them to help our country as Balik scientists.
So yeah,
That's my last question.
So as I said earlier, like as a scientist or just as a normal person, I guess you always want to maximize your impact, right? In this world, and as a Balik scientist, I think the impact you can make in solving a problem in the Philippines is much higher than any other place in the world. Especially if you come from, if you've lived in this country, especially if you've seen your family, your friends having those problems, and if it's you they've been waiting for to provide a solution to that, or if it's you who has the potential to actually solve that, I think that should be convincing enough for you to come back. Or at least try it, right? Because we have different types of engagements. We have short term, medium term, and then long term. A short term, I think, is the easiest way to try it out, because I think you can still do it remotely. I'm not sure, but
You start not as short term but medium term Balik scientist, right?
yes. So my so my approach was a bit straightforward. I said I'll do this for a year right away. I mean, I could have done it for a shorter period, but I think the results wouldn't be as nice. And to be honest, I don't think 1 year is enough. I don't think 1 year is enough. Maybe I apply again. I don't know. Let's see. But my approach was straightforward, but it also aligned with my plans, since I was also towards the end of finishing my PhD. It was either just getting a normal job or stay at BMW, for instance, or build a startup, which I did.
That you have already had.
Yeah, and then it just so happened that everything came together, and the Balik Scientist program was there, and I was like, maybe I can tap them and see if they're interested in this kind of R&D work, where we focus on implementing solutions, practical solutions on the field, like with cities right away.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mag-extra lang. You've just witnessed our interview 1 of the Balik Scientist 2022 under the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology official is no other than Engineer Syrus Gomari as a medium-term Balik Scientist. This is MJ Alpina Balagar of DZMJ Online, Makabuluhang Journalismo, your happiness channel.